We see the review and implementation of the new urban agenda as a key moment to ensure that our constituency is fully involved in the achievement of the agenda targets and objectives that are strongly interlinked with the current UN strategic plan and in the common agenda that we want to develop in the future. We would like to guarantee that the implementation of the new urban agenda becomes truly an accelerator of the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. And we think that UN Habitat and local and regional governments, together with the stakeholders, have been leading the way to guarantee this through the support of localization. We would like to recall the importance of bolstering local action and strengthening engagement with the local constituency, both local governments, but also, of course, the communities in cities around the world. We would like to stress the importance of voluntary local and subnational reviews, the importance that they are playing in the achievement of the global agendas, and we would like this committee to consider supporting UN Habitat's involvement in the development of these reports, a work that we are already doing together as United Cities and local governments with UN Habitat. We would think it would be a missed opportunity not to engage more local and regional governments also at country level and in the context of UN resident coordinators' work. We have been following your discussions yesterday, and we hope you will keep this concept in mind. This pandemic has galvanized the critical role of local and regional governments and brought to light the intrinsic link between local public service provision and the health of our communities and planet. We think UN Habitat is in a unique position to use its capacities to enhance the capacities of local governments and to really contribute greatly to the UN Common Agenda in the making, complementing the work done in the framework of the UN Task Force on the Future of Cities, which is indispensable, and we celebrate the role that UN Habitat is playing there. In alliance with the stakeholders present here, as the constituency of local and regional governments, but also as part of the General Assembly of Partners, as I said before, we assume our share of responsibility. We thank you for the efforts, and we stand ready to contribute to your work. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mrs. Hannes. No, what is your name? Emilia says. I will now give the floor to Ms. Sofjan, Harjo Commission.
Very good morning to all. Dear Chair, dear ED, Excellencies and colleagues of UN Habitat and other constituencies. Allow me to thank you for this opportunity to provide our inputs and share our concern at this high-level meeting of the CPR to the UN Habitat. Huairou Commission is a long-time partner of UN Habitat, bringing the constituency of women and grassroots who led a social movement in over 100 community-based organizations operating in poor, urban, rural, indigenous communities across 45 countries around the world. We appreciate the work of UN Habitat with the strong leadership of the Executive Director and her dedicated team for implementing the UN Habitat Strategic Plan 2020-23 with that align with the commitment as per the new urban agenda in such trying times since the declaration of the COVID-19 pandemic in March 2020. We commend the production of the report, Cities and Pandemic Towards a More Just, Green and Healthy Future, which was launched earlier this year. It could be a useful guide for governments and stakeholders of the new urban agenda in adapting their implementation plan that include the design and development of their post-COVID-19 recovery policies and program to ensure that we still achieve the SDGs, especially SDG 11. We urge UN Habitat and member states to focus resourcing and partnering with organized grassroots groups in the implementation of local action in the post-COVID-19 recovery policies and program. As appointed by the UN Secretary General in his policy brief in April 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated the centrality of local action and highlighted in his observation that organized community-based and grassroots groups, many led by women, have been in the forefront, responding to the needs of those in their community in managing and addressing the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite their limited resources, they came up with innovative solutions in their own indigenous way. At Huairou Commission, we created the Grassroots Women Global COVID-19 Recovery Platform as a critical component of our work to improve the livelihood, living condition, and opportunities for urban, rural, and indigenous grassroots women in the next 5 years. And we welcome UN Habitat to collaborate with us in this endeavor. We also take note on the report made on the implementation of Resolution 1/4 on achieving gender equality through the work of the United Nations Human Settlement Programs to support inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable cities and human settlement. It is very encouraging to learn that continuous project reviews were undertaken by project review committees to ensure that gender equality are addressed in all UN Habitat projects and programs, with the increase in internal requests for collaboration and engagement to make projects and programs more gender inclusive and gender responsive. We look forward to the completion of the review and updating of the UN Habitat policy and plan for gender equality and women empowerment of women in urban development and human settlement 2014-2019, together with the Gender Equality Action Plan of the same period that was presented as nearing its completion. We want to impress once again that in developing the revised policy and plan that will guide UN Habitat engagement on gender issue in line with the strategic plan for 2020-2023, gender equality and women's empowerment should not just be an element of social inclusion and ticking the check boxes. We need to commit to having gender mandates and gender responsive criteria in making decisions in all policy spaces and programs by institutionalizing gender lens as a central component of developing national urban policies, noting that the national urban policies is one of the 5 thrusts in implementing the new urban agenda. The UN Secretary General also reminded us during his address at the launch of the Decade of Action that the last 10 years remaining to achieve SDG, women and gender equality are key components that will ensure we achieve contribution will be included in the next New Urban Agenda quadrennial report due in 2020, as well as in designing the 11th session of the World Urban Forum. Once again, finally, we want to call upon member states to invest and resource UN Habitat in creating a gender equality and women's empowerment specific programs as its commitment toward achieving substantive equality in ensuring we have sustainable cities and human settlements that leave no person and no place behind. We look forward to continue our close partnership with UN Habitat. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and we wish you continuous smooth meeting. Thank you.
I thank you, Ms. Sofjan. I will now give the floor to Mr. Mohammed, State University of East London. You have the floor, Mr. Mohammed.
Mr. Said, please press the speak button at the bottom of your screen. Okay. Sorry, we can't hear you. You need to activate your microphone. It's on the top left. There is an icon for microphone. You need to select your microphone. Not yet. Let me try here. Everything looks okay, but we cannot hear you for some reason. Apologies.
Check your microphone on the left of your screen.
I suggest he tries to sort out his problems and continue with.
Okay, I will give you the opportunity again. I'll come back to you when you are ready. Now I give the floor to Morocco.
Morocco, please go ahead.
Thank you. Merci. Excellence, Monsieur le Président du Comité, Madame la Directrice exécutive de l'ONU Habitat, Honorables ministres, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les ambassadeurs, Excellences, distingués délégués. J'ai l'honneur et le plaisir de prendre la parole au nom de Madame Nouza Bouchereb, ministre de l'Aménagement du Territoire, de l'Urbanisme, de l'Habitat et de la Politique de la Ville du Royaume du Maroc, dans le cadre de la réunion du Comité de représentants permanents auprès du Programme des Nations Unies pour les établissements humains, aux fins d'un examen à mi-parcours de haut niveau. Je voudrais saluer, au nom de Madame la Ministre, les efforts fournis et le travail accompli par ONU Habitat pendant cette période difficile de la pandémie de la COVID-19. Cette réunion organisée en format hybride, compte tenu de la conjoncture internationale suite à la crise sanitaire mondiale de la COVID-19, nous offre l'opportunité de partager nos expériences en matière de gestion de cette situation. Alors, dès l'avènement de la COVID-19, Sa Majesté le roi Mohamed VI, que Dieu l'assiste, a donné ses hautes instructions pour la mise en place d'importantes mesures permettant de limiter la propagation du virus et atténuer ses effets sanitaires, économiques et sociaux, dont la création du fonds d'investissement dédié à la mise à niveau du dispositif médical et au soutien et à la préservation de l'économie et des emplois. Un ensemble de mesures ont été également entreprises, dont notamment la mise en place d'un fonds spécial dédié à la gestion de la pandémie ainsi que des mesures fiscales et financières pour le soutien des entreprises. Mesdames et messieurs, les orientations éclairées de Sa Majesté le roi Mohamed VI, que Dieu l'assiste, incitent à la mise en place de mesures permettant d'atténuer les effets de la crise, d'accompagner la reprise progressive et d'améliorer la capacité de résilience et d'innovation dans les différents secteurs. Le nouveau modèle de développement du Maroc nous interpelle pour relever les challenges et l'ambition du développement ciblé et de propulser le royaume dans beaucoup de domaines, dont le tiers supérieur des différents classements mondiaux des Nations Unies d'ici 2035. Mesdames et messieurs, le secteur de l'habitat, à l'instar des autres secteurs, a été aussi très impacté, causant ainsi l'arrêt de la plupart des chantiers de construction suite aux restrictions de la mobilité. Malgré les effets et les difficultés que la crise de la COVID-19 a causées sur la plupart des secteurs économiques de par le monde, elle nous a renseigné sur la capacité de résilience du secteur de l'habitat et de l'urbanisme. Ce dernier a réussi à enregistrer de bons résultats malgré l'impact négatif de la pandémie et a pu rester en marche en période de confinement grâce au développement de la chaîne de valeur, la dématérialisation des procédures, la promotion de la demande, le maintien de l'emploi, l'implication des professionnels du secteur et à la dynamique de solidarité engagée. Mesdames et messieurs, je tiens également à remercier vivement Madame la directrice exécutive de l'ONU Habitat et la délégation qui l'a accompagnée pour sa visite au Maroc au mois de mars 2021. Le programme pays 2020-2023 de l'ONU Habitat pour le Royaume du Maroc, signé lors de l'ouverture du bureau de l'ONU Habitat à Rabat lors de la visite de Madame la directrice exécutive au Maroc, a permis d'identifier 3 défis majeurs. Il s'agit de l'amélioration de l'accès à l'information et à la donnée à travers la dématérialisation, la lutte contre les disparités qui se creusent suite à la crise sanitaire et qui interpelle à mettre en place un plan spécifique aux établissements humains, notamment ceux des zones sensibles, et puis l'accélération de l'urbanisation des villes et des risques inhérents au flux migratoire du rural vers l'urbain et de nouvelles approches permettant une meilleure gestion de l'espace urbain pour des villes ouvertes à tous sur résilience et durable. Dans ce sens, et à travers la mobilisation des partenariats multi-acteurs autour d'une approche territoriale intégrée et durable, les projets pilotes et du d'appui pour la mise en œuvre du programme des centres ruraux émergents essentiels au dynamisme et au développement des territoires ruraux en vue d'améliorer les conditions de vie des habitants des territoires ruraux et de réduire l'impact des changements climatiques. L'appui technique pour la mise en place des outils de veille territoriale et accompagnement dans le processus de la digitalisation territoriale. Mesdames et messieurs, la collaboration avec ONU Habitat via le Bureau national à Rabat constitue une nouvelle opportunité pour la mise en place d'une plateforme régionale permettant de renforcer le partage d'expériences et des bonnes pratiques en matière de développement durable. Conformément aux orientations éclairées de Sa Majesté le roi Mohamed VI, que Dieu l'assiste, la réalisation du développement durable humain en Afrique constitue une priorité pour le Maroc et un vecteur de l'émergence d'une Afrique nouvelle, confiance en ses potentialités et ouverte sur l'avenir. Je vous remercie pour votre attention.
Thank you, Madam, for your contribution, for your statement. Mr. Mohammed, are you there?
Yes, I am. I wonder if you can hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, very well.
Okay. Yeah. Honorable Chair, Your Excellencies, distinguished CPR delegates, of course, the Honorable Executive Director, UN Habitat colleagues, and UN Habitat partners. My name is Sirat Seth. I'm a professor and director at the University of East London, which is ranked second in the world for among 172 universities for supporting SDGs and other development agendas. But I speak today on behalf of the Stakeholder Advisory Group Enterprise and my co-chair, Dan Curry. And I hope to focus really on some of the key achievements that UN Habitat, through its partners, has achieved in the past few years in strengthening stakeholder collaborations and successes. SAGE, of course, was constituted in 2019 at the first UN Habitat Assembly by yourselves, comprising of 16 urban leaders from across the world and in different areas. And we work to advise the executive director in 5 areas: in advocacy, resource mobilization, policy and leadership, monitoring global commitments, and collaboration programs. And in the past few years, among our achievements have been regular monthly in order that we can co-collaborate and co-create and support the UN Habitat strategy and joint implementation and monitoring. Of the UN Habitat stakeholder UN Habitat Assembly and adopted by over 200 stakeholders. And we're doing this in line with the UN Secretary General's new stakeholder contract. The third has been the planning of key events that stakeholders have been involved with, such as the World Urban Forum, past and future, where hundreds and thousands of diverse stakeholders are contributing. We also support the national level urban policy development, for example, by facilitating the coordination between national urban forums. We've been given the opportunity to advise on initiatives across the UN on urban futures, such as the new urban agenda platform and so on. We are working hard to ensure that all voices are heard, especially women and youth, among all the 16 constituencies recognized by the UN. So this intersectionality has been promoted through the newly formed UN Habitat Social Inclusion Unit, which inter alia promotes human rights and empowerment. We also, as SAGE, working with the UCLG and local authorities to support grassroots actors at the local and regional level and expanding UNACLA's inputs. We're also participating in UN Habitat flagship programs, of which there are many, including the Global Land Tool Network, reaching policymakers, researchers, professionals, civil society development agencies such as the World Bank and the Islamic Development Bank. And we are also augmenting in our role as experts, UN Habitat's regional projects or initiatives in Africa, Asia, Arab and Europe. Resources to the key capacity initiatives across the world by UN Habitat, especially in the context of resilience and just recovery through inclusive policy pandemic programs. We're also raising awareness and mobilizing funds through participation in innovative financing, dialogues and projects, which many of our members are playing a key role. And really, we are bringing together 14 of UN Habitat's advisory boards, platforms, and networks who represent key constituencies and priority themes by ensuring coordinated, integrated, and sustainable urban development and support for UN Habitat strategic plans and implementation and action plans. Finally, we are fully involved with UN Habitat directly in terms of promoting the UN urban agenda and UN Habitat's vision within and outside through best practices, tools, and everywhere. Now, through SAGE and other initiatives, UN Habitat has transformed over the few years stakeholder partnerships and engagement by co-creating of strategic scale responses in urban areas based on new data and expertise which are needed to guide the stakeholders at various levels in transformative action for innovative, green, inclusive, and prosperous cities and regions. Which is why SAGE would like to sincerely commend and thank the Executive Director, Ms. Mamina Mohammed Sharif, and UN Habitat senior managers for keeping stakeholders and its constituencies at the heart of its strategic planning, program development, and delivery. We've been closely following the contributions of member states and to proceedings here at the UN Habitat Assembly, at the Executive Board, and are really grateful for your support, resources, and guidance in these challenging times without which we couldn't reach our objectives, which are not just that of UN Habitat alone, but all the partners across the world. The stakeholders are therefore entirely supportive of UN Habitat's significant mandate and program and the progress, and are committed to continue to work collaboratively to secure this inclusive, green, and sustainable cities vision under the inspiring leadership of its executive director and the team. So finally, we'd like to thank the Committee of Permanent Representative for giving stakeholders, all of us, the space on the table during this high-level midterm review. And we are happy to provide for more detailed UN Habitat stakeholder engagement policies, activities, and successes as needed. Thank you very much. Again, thank you.
Done with all the statements from the stakeholders. We shall continue. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for your good contributions. If there is no other matter, that I give the floor to the Executive Director for her closing statement. Madam, you have the floor.
Excellency, Chairman, members of the Your Excellencies, partners, colleagues, a very good morning, good afternoon, and opportunity to thank His Excellency Mr. Chair Ambassador Rusam for his excellent chairing of this high-level midterm review meeting convened by the Committee of Permanent Representative, a universal membership meeting in the intersessional period of the United Nations Habitat or UN Habitat Governance Framework. I have been informed by the Secretariat of Governing Bodies that the total number of participants from national governments is 271, representing 75 countries. Two, Kenya, Sudan, and one Mexico. We had in attendance 53 ambassadors, permanent representatives, and 167 national focal technical advisors. The total of accredited partners, the number of participants is 315. I would like also to thank the 13 CPR members who joined us physically here in this meeting room. Please allow me to congratulate all of you for the successful convening of this intersessional meeting of the CPR. I appreciate your support, including in developing the agenda, your flexibility with the hybrid format, modalities for negotiating an outcome document, and the divisions of labor between Executive Board and the Committee of Permanent Representatives. I have heard from Member States that the strategic plan is robust, relevant, and provides a framework for helping cities and communities build back better. As you know, the strategic plan grounded in the 2030 Development Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals is designed to unlock the transformative role that urbanization plays in helping all of us to make the transition towards prosperity, peace, and development. As Member States have highlighted, UN Habitat has been successful in developing a new way of working that is focused on outcomes and impact demonstrated in regions, countries, and cities. Over the past 2 days of deliberations, you have heard compelling evidence of the policy advisory and programmatic work that are opening new opportunities and responding to the hope of millions of people. We appreciate all the critical comments and guidance, helping us improve the way we deliver the strategic plan. We take note that Member States have highlighted shortfalls and limitations brought about by inadequate funding. I thank Member States who have expressed their support to UN Habitat as we adapt our operational and normative work to respond to the social economic impact of COVID-19. I hear Member States in their guidance that we move away from being overly reactive and we refocus and translate immediate challenges to long-term solutions. We will continue to be more nimble, innovative, and creative in financing the mandate, helping cities and communities respond effectively to the climate crisis, inequality, affordable housing, and in the process, help create jobs and improve livelihoods. Your Excellencies, I hear you. that we need to improve the way we engage with member states, particularly with regards to planning and preparation in the lead up to the CPR midterm review. We have had numerous bureau meetings, consulted widely through 4 regional group meetings, and carried out over 10 bilateral meetings. We have also received detailed inquiries from member states and presented this to the CPR Bureau. Nonetheless, as I have said to my team, we need to improve. And I call upon member states to share with us their recommendations to help us improve the way we work, the way we engage and support your meetings. Let me assure all member states that we have taken note of each and every one of your comments and suggestions. I welcome your substantive contribution and stand ready to engage all of you from now until the next executive board meetings, not only to ensure we have consensus, but also to develop a program that will accelerate the implementation of the second half of the strategic plan. Together, I believe we can create conditions to support sustainable transition to a world where poverty and inequality is reduced, risk minimized, and opportunities expanded. The second half of the strategic plan provides a roadmap to move towards a cleaner, greener, safer, healthier, and happier future. I am extremely delighted to see that member states fully embrace the idea to work through 3 lenses that will give us more focus, capacity, efficiency, and relevance. This was further reinforced by thought leaders in the dialogue on cities and pandemics held during the second day of the midterm review, where we were urged to arrive at a new social contract to be more inclusive, to invest in public institutions, and to plan as though the next pandemic is on the way. We must put women, youth, people with disabilities at the forefront of all our work. To build a healthier, happier, and more sustainable future, I believe that the 3 lenses can guide our work across the strategic plans, namely, focus on the new vulnerabilities, enhancement of the form and functions of future cities, and support to inclusive socio-economic recovery. We heed the guidance from member states that we need to help prepare cities and communities in terms of function and form when responding to new crises, adapting to the future in terms of resilience and climate change. The design of the sustainable ecological neighborhoods appears the best option and most functional unit to structure and scale up city responses. Finally, we look forward to working with member states in developing innovative and creative solutions to create conditions for long-term social and economic city recovery. Your Excellencies, I have made it a key feature to translate policy to practice, strategy to action, and tried my best to implement the governance framework, carry out internal reforms, and strengthen multilateral action on the ground. This is our first ever meeting of the intersessional body of the United Nations Habitat Assembly, demonstrating the ability of the CPR to undertake a midterm review to guide the Secretariat on the implementation of the remaining 2 years of our strategic plan. Member States agreed to promote the implementation of the new urban agenda to accelerate the decade of action and Paris Agreement by strategically aligning the Secretary General quadrennial report, the urban dimension of the Regional Forum for Sustainable Development, the high-level meeting of the General Assembly on the implementation of the new urban agenda, and the 11th session of the World Urban Forum. We stand ready to support member states to advance the new urban agenda and welcome your further support. We must generate funding to support the direction which you have now provided. Unearmarked funds or funding which is softly earmarked to support implementation of the strategic plan will be vital to carry your decisions and the resolution of the Assembly. With consistent and comprehensive financing, as member states have noted, we will be able to benefit from the integrated and catalytic nature of our strategic plan. I would like to take the opportunity to thank SLC Chair and the outgoing Bureau members who guided us through the COVID-19 pandemic and for successfully completing this first CPR meeting. I look forward to working with the incoming Chair, the High Commissioner of Pakistan, and the incoming Bureau in which we plan for the UN Habitat Assembly. Let me thank and acknowledge the input from the non-governmental partners. Rest assured that we stand ready to work with you to ensure our work is inclusive, and we welcome your critical inputs, particularly through SAGE and other channels. Let me also thank the support of local and regional government, fellow mayors, as we work together to realize and also to localize the SDGs and ensure we reach the most vulnerable communities to ensure no one is left behind. Let me close on a cheerful note. We have been able to conduct our business fairly well. We have kept the program moving forward despite the global pandemic. We have demonstrated the relevance of United Nations. I am confident that with greater support, guidance, and openness, we will be able to build back better, fairer, and with greater equality. The power is in our hands. We must act now to help the people who depend on us, to ensure no one, no place is left behind in this urbanizing world. Last but not least, I also would like to thank all my colleagues, the Deputy Executive Director, Mr. Victor Kisop, and all my colleagues, and also colleagues from UNON, Francisco, and also Mr. Stadler, our legal advisor, and all the others who make it happen, and also not forgetting my sister, DG UNON, Madam Zainab, and all the others, including the President of General Assembly and also the CS of Planning from Government of Kenya. And thank you very much for all your support, and we are here to work together with you. Thank you very much. Asante sana. Thank you.
I thank you, Madam Ms. Maimuna Maud Sharif, the Executive Director of UN Habitat, for your visionary closing remarks. And on behalf of myself and the Bureau of the CPR of UN Habitat, my deepest gratitude to you, Madam Edie, for your generous words. I wish you all the best in the future. Agenda item 12, closure of the meeting. Executive Director, Madam Maimuna Maud Sharif, Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for your presence and commitment to the work of the CPR in the past 3 days, despite the unusual context in light of COVID-19 global situation. Excellencies, honorable ministers, may I give also my closing remarks. Distinguished delegates, Executive Director Mohd Sharif, Madam Maimuna Mohd Sharif, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the close of the first open-ended high-level midterm review of the Committee of Permanent Representatives, I would like to thank all delegations and partners for their active participation during this meeting and for their cooperation during the tenure of Eritrea as chair of the CPR. I would like to reiterate the importance of the work of the CPR as an intersessional body of the UN Habitat Assembly in guiding the Executive Director and encouraging member states and partners towards the advancement of the noble objectives outlined in the strategic plan of UN Habitat and in the accelerated implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Development and the new urban agenda as the means through which we all commit to ensure that all human settlements, including rural and urban, exuberate the dignity of human existence in this increasingly urbanizing world. Despite the challenges associated with living COVID-19 and having to meet online due to the global pandemic, I appreciate your engagement towards a successful outcomes of this meeting. I want to thank all member states of the United Nations, as well as members of specialized agencies for their cooperation during the last year. I want to thank Bangladesh, Serbia, Costa Rica, and USA in their capacity as members of the former Bureau for their great support to Eritrea as chair of the Committee of Permanent Representatives. And I wish a lot of success to the newly elected Bureau for the period 2021 to 2023. I also thank Executive Director Madam Maimuna and her team for greatly facilitating the work of the Bureau and the CPR and for being available for consultations as required. I would like to thank the Director General of Union, the Joint Medical Services, the Division of Conferences Services, Security and Safety Team, our interpreters, the Interaxio team, and all support staff that were involved in the preparation for this high-level midterm review. Before I close, let me give the floor to Pakistan. Thank you, Your Excellency. Madam, you have the floor.
Pakistan, you have the floor. Leon, are you online to give Pakistan the floor? Yeah.
Pakistan has the floor, but his microphone is muted. If you can please unmute your microphone. Top left, there is an icon. Yes. I think you can now press the speak button at the bottom. Pakistan, you had managed to unmute, that was fine, but then you needed to press your speak button as well on the bottom of the screen.
I'm sorry, Pakistan. I should not have been interrupted before I close because while I am doing my closing remark, I should not have been interrupted by the Secretary. I'm very sorry to say so. But I thank you all for the first open-ended high-level midterm review of the CPR. Thank you all. Thank you. I can now give the floor to Pakistan. I don't want to look like as if I'm not giving the chance to Pakistan.
Pakistan, please press on the speak button at the bottom of your screen.
I thank you all for your patience. I thank you all for your participation. I thank the ED again. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.